Shalom, shalom. This is your brother Yashamai. Before I get into this message, I want to start off by giving all praises, all glory, and all honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakwakadash. I want to give double honors to the elders and the apostles, the great millstone, whom rule and teach well, of whom I learn from daily. And a sincere shalom to you brothers that are listening in and that are pushing this truth as well on throughout the entire world. I wanted to. I'm leaving camp. I want to put together a message that was inspired by scripture. Every camp is always a good camp, but there was a couple of scriptures that jumped out. And you know, how many religions are there right now? I was having a conversation with the brother before camp, and I was, saying, what if I didn't have the truth? I don't know what I would be doing, because what are the other churches thinking on right now? The other churches are thinking that America, that Babylon is going to continue, but it's not. Babylon must be destroyed according to the book of Revelations. This is prophecy. It's going to happen. And so I just was curious of how many religions there are. Really, I kind of narrowed it down because there's like over 100,000 religions, I guess. So I narrowed it down to how many Christian-based religions there are, and a number that's coming out is 45,000, 33,000, and then, what are the top 10? Catholicism. There are many different beliefs, but there is only one way. There is only one way. Matter of fact, let's get John. I think it's 10 and 1. I think. There you go. This is talking about salvation. John 10. Here you go. Verily, and this is Yahweh Shai speaking. This is John 10 and 1. Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that enters not by the door into the sheepfold, but climbs up some other way, the same is a thief and a robber. But he that enters by the door is the shepherd of the sheep. To him the porter openeth, and the sheep hear his voice, and he calls his sheep by his own name, and leads them out. Again, and then let's keep down to verse 7. Then said Yahweh Shai unto them again, Verily, verily, I say unto you, I am the door of the sheep. He is the way. There is no other way other than him. So why are there so many religions out there? And all of this was prophesied. This is Matthew 24 and 5. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. So what are we to do here? How do we know that we are in the truth? How do you know? If you're not 100% subscribed to this truth, how do you know that you have the correct doctrine? Well, because prophecy here, this is Yahweh Shai telling us that many would come in his name. And I just showed you that there are many religions. Okay, so in this world, our walk has to be sure. This is Ephesians 5 and 15. See then that ye walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise. But as wise. So in this walk, because Israelites, as a people, we know that there's something out there. We have a spiritual connection. We are his chosen people, whether you accept it or not. So Israelites, your so-called blacks, natives, and Hispanics were searching for something, and Ephesians 5 and 15 tells us to walk circumspectly. Now let's get that word circumspectly. Now let's get the etymology. Circumspectly. Circumspect. Okay. Looking about on all sides. Deliberate. Guarded. Well considered. Past participle of contempt. To look around and to take heed. So, for us to walk circumspectly, we need to look around what? We need to look around at the scriptures. Because for us to be sure that we're walking in the truth, we need to see what the scriptures do. How was the truth being preached? How was how were the Israelites being preached to in the Old Testament or even in the New Testament? What was the preaching like? Was Paul preaching about riches? Was Paul preaching about loving everybody? Were the prophets preaching about how many jumbo private jets they got? For Kenneth Copeland and for Joel Osteen, were they teaching to just love and be happy? I mean, can anybody find that scripture? Because Joel Osteen seems to be quoting that all the time. Just be happy, just love, just live, just be happy, like a fucking cult. There is none. So we need to walk circumspectly. So we need to look around. So let's look around the scriptures, okay? That's that's what this message is going to be aimed at. Why do we know that we have the truth? Because we're going to look at things circumspectly. Let's get back into that scripture. And to go back to Ephesians 5 and 15, it says to not walk as fools, because fools don't look around circumspectly. Fools don't look back at the scriptures. They only look forward at the pulpit of that Edomite Christian pastor. But we need to walk as the wise. Okay, well, wise. Well, what is wisdom? What is wisdom? The fear of Yahweh is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. So wisdom is knowing the name. Do you see that? Do you see here the word Lord is in all caps? That's because that's his name. So what's his name? Is it Jehovah? Is it Yahweh? Is it Yah? It's the wisdom is knowing what that name is, Yahweh. So that's how we need to walk. We need to walk knowing what we know and calling on the right name to begin with. So let's get into the scriptures and let's start to examine how things were being preached here. Jeremiah 28 and 8. The prophets that have been before me and before thee of old prophesied both against many countries and against great kingdoms of war and evil and of pestilence. So Jeremiah and all the other prophets, Hosea, Nehemiah, Micah, Habakkuk, Isaiah, all of these prophets, what, Obadiah, what were these prophets prophesying about? What was their message? Their message was one in the same: judgment. Judgment and chastisement for Israel, and judgment to be poured out on the wicked heathen nations and Babylon the Great. The prophets of old were talking about, were going against the system. They were going against the rulership of Nebuchadnezzar. They were going against the rulership of Pharaoh. Moses. Moses was a prophet, and he was going against Pharaoh. So a question for you: are Christian pastors going against Pharaoh here? When's the last time that you went into a church, a 501c3, and heard the pastor talk bad about America? Never. What to the contrary, to the antichrist, which they are. What are they preaching about? They're not prophesying against it, like it says here in Jeremiah. They're telling you to go out and vote. They're telling you to pray for America. They're saying America has to turn back. Turn back to what, by the way? Like, when the pastor says, well, our people, America needs to come back to Christianity, like, what are you coming back to? You were never the people. But I don't want to go off on a tangent here. But the question is, do you see the difference? Do you see the Antichrist in there? Do you see the going to be? Because what does Antichrist mean? Against the anointed. Do you see how they're their preaching is against the anointed preaching, because Jeremiah is calling down um, he's calling down wicked rulers. This is Ecclesiasticus 39:1. But he that giveth his mind to the law of the Most High, and is occupied in the meditation thereof, will seek out the wisdom of all the ancient, and be occupied in prophecies. This is why we know that we are in the truth. Okay, because there are many truths for people, but this is the truth. I don't care what you believe in. This is the truth. If I show you a bottle of water in my hand and I put it behind my back, it's still behind my back. You may not want to believe it, but the truth is that water bottle is still behind my back. This is the truth, okay? And this scripture is what happened to our elders and apostles that searched the scriptures back in the in the late 1960s, and found the old images of the apostles, found old images of Yahweh, found Hebrew meanings, found the name. We have the name, and even nowadays, a lot of Christian churches are even, some of them are started to acknowledge the name. But who gave them the name? He, the Israelites, that gave their mind to the law of the Most High, starting with Abba Bivens, and was occupied in the meditation thereof, and he seeked out wisdom. Okay, and according to Proverbs 1:6, we just read that that the beginning of wisdom was the fear of Yahweh. He found wisdom in the books, wisdom of ancient that we had forgotten, and then began to occupy himself in prophecy. And the prophecy hasn't changed since day one. Prophecy, the truth revealed to him, which the elders and the apostles still teach to this day, that America will be destroyed. They've been preaching the same truth since 1969, and now we see this coming into fruition. We see Babylon falling. So do you see the difference? Do you see how, since the truth was sought out in 1969, the preaching was the same one mentioned in Jeremiah, speaking against evil kingdoms, speaking against evil rulers? Now compare that with what your Christians go, or with your Catholics. They're not preaching on that. Matter of fact, the Pope is telling you to accept the gays. Completely different. One, 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 one way, which is the truth, is telling you for the destruction of Babylon, which is spiritually called Sodom. All right, and then the other fake lie that has caused many to be deceived is telling you to accept the world. But at the same time, Scripture tells us that we are not of this world and not to be partakers of it. So we, as Israelites, are, the elder Abba Bivens gave his mind and sought out wisdom and found it. That's prophecy. And of course, prophecy would be given to him because according to Amos 3:7, surely the Most High Yahweh will do nothing but reveal his secrets unto his servants, the prophets. And again, who were the prophets? They were always Israelites. And that's how we know we have the truth, because who got this truth? An Israelite. And even more so, a Judite got this truth. The branch continued to spring forth even after Yahweh Shai. The branch sprang forth and brought us into remembrance of our heritage, man. This truth was never going to come through anybody else other than an Israelite, and even more so Judah, the head tribe. So, what is the truth now? Again, a stark difference. This is 2 Chronicles 7:14. If my people, Now, who is he talking to? Because this is in the Old Testament. He's talking to the Israelites. And and this scripture rings true today. If my people, which are called by my name, okay, Prince of the Peace, Prince of the Power, Yasharallah, if my people, the Israelites, which are called by my name, Yasharallah, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face. Wow, doesn't that line up perfectly with Ecclesiasticus 30, 39, and 1? Shall pray and seek his face? You know, he that giveth his mind to the law. Wow, that's beautiful, ain't it? Because that happened. Let's go back to that. Let's finish this whole thing and then go back to that. If my people, the Israelites, Abba Bivens, which are called by my name, Yasharallah, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face, you know, seeking who he is, and turn from their wicked ways, which is idolatry, you know, worshiping the image of Caesar Borgia, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sin. What sin was that? The sin of sacrificing to every deity under the sky, and will heal their land, heal them as a people and their land. And this prophetic speaking happened starting with our apostle Abba Bivens, Ecclesiasticus 39 and 1, because Abba Bivens gave his mind to the law of the Most High Yahweh, and he occupied himself. He occupied himself in the meditation thereof, and sought out wisdom, which was the name of Yahweh, wisdom of the ancient, because this was our heritage. And since then, he was occupied in prophecies. This was this is how we know we have the truth, because uh, as a nation, prophecy has continued to happen to us. All right, as a nation, whether you want to accept it or not, we fell away. That was prophecy. And as a nation, we that were called by his name humbled ourselves and sought his face. Prophecy happened. We got the name. That's how we know that we're in the truth. What prophecy has happened with Christians? None. What have they been doing since day one? Love everybody, love your neighbor, pay your taxes, except we're not going to pay them because we have made a covenant with the wicked, which is the so-called white man. What is that covenant? The 501c3, which says we can't speak nothing bad against them. So, that is a stark contrast. That is a stark contrast from the truth. And matter of fact, that's pretty much it. But uh, another scripture that I'm going to end it with is Baruch 2 and 30. I mean, this is one of my favorite scriptures, and this lines up perfectly. For I knew, this is Baruch 2 and 30, for I knew that they would not hear me, because it is a stiff-necked people. You know, this is talking about us going off, you know, going off and worshiping every other deity under the sky. But in the land of their captivities, they shall remember themselves. And through Abba Bivens, who got the name and got the revelation, we remembered ourselves. We remembered our heritage, you know, and how beautiful it was that it was through the tribe of Judah. Okay? And shall know that I am Yahweh, their power, not, well, first of all, he is the power, but more than that, he's our power. Okay? He's our power. He's not the Edomites' power. He's not the Chinese power, not the Philippines' power. It's our power. I will give them a heart and ears to hear. And that's what's happening. We have that new lap, that new heart, you know, lap, you know, it's talking about mind. We have a renewed mind that was given to us. We have the ear that was given to us. You know, if you can receive this truth, he's given you the ear. And they shall praise me in the land of their captivity and think upon my name. And up until 1969, you know, for a while, we didn't have that name. And now we have the name. And before 1969, Christians, Billy Graham wasn't worried about the name. It was Jesus, you know, it was a white haired Jesus, you know. But we were strictly called to call upon his name. Nobody was calling on the name. Nobody was seeking for the ancient wisdom, man, because it wasn't meant for them. It was meant for the Israelites. 33, and return from their stiff neck and from their wicked deeds. Come back from worshiping idolatry, for they shall remember the way of their fathers. What is the way of our fathers? The way of our fathers was, you know, men taught, women kept silence, men went out, the women stayed home. But more than that, the law. Our fathers had the law, that they would remember the way of the law, you know, practicing the high holy days, going to camp. You know, this is the way of our fathers, knowing who we are and knowing who they are. They being Esau Edom, knowing who he is, Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai. All right, that's what's happening. And 34 is gonna happen, and I will bring them again into the land which I promised with an oath unto their fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And they shall be lords of it, and I will increase them, and they shall not be diminished. Now, I want to stop there. Now, this is how we know that we're the Israelites, because Yahweh was going to bring us into our land. Those people in the land, how did they get there? They got there through the Balfour Declaration, all right? They got there through themselves, you know, through their God, you know, Amalek, Esau. They got that land through unrighteous decrees. Woe to them that write unrighteous decrees. That was never your land, man. See, that's how you know that they are not the people, because the Most High is telling us here that He was going to put us there, that the whole world would see us being put there by Him, not by the strike of a pen. So, anyways, I want to recap this and say, how do we know that we have the truth? Because the preaching has never changed. Since the days of old, we have been speaking against dark rulers and dark countries. And that has not changed. Christians came and changed it. We went from preaching against the kingdoms that were ruling over our people, and then Christians came and said, pray for them, and pray for America, and vote for America. Well, look, keep on voting, motherfuckers. Vote harder, because that's been doing you so much. Keep on voting. It ain't going to change the will of the Most High. His word will not return unto him void. And what is his word? His word is the destruction of Babylon. His word is all of Israel being saved. His word is remembering his name. So vote harder, motherfucker, because you are not it. We have the truth, man. And we know we have the truth by being circumspect, by looking around, looking to the front, looking behind. Looking to the front how? Looking to the front when you're at camp. What are those brothers preaching? All right? And then comparing that to how the word was preached in the Old Testament. Okay, that's being circumspect. And then looking to the back and saying, okay, I see how they're preaching. How are the Christians back there preaching? Oh, pray for America. Okay, how does that line up with Scripture? It doesn't. You're not the people. There's only one way, according to John 10 and 7. He is the way. All right, this is the way. Open the book and search the Scriptures. I hope you brothers have been edified. We have the truth. Stay firm in this fight.